Hi, I'm Pete. I'm an IT manager slash superhero.
Pete, bad news.
What happened?
I put a very expensive latte on top of my car, drove off, and it spilled. It's bad.
How's that my problem?
Oh, my laptop was up there too.
Okay, that's why we use connection services to manage our cloud. Everything's backed up. I can access your stuff remotely. You won't miss a meeting.
I really wanted that latte, Pete.
For hardware, software, support, and empathy. For Pete's sake, connect with Connection.
Hi traders, welcome to another live trading talk with Oliver Velez. My name is Oliver Velez, of course, and I am your trader for life.
The risk doesn't exist in the market, traders. The risk exists in you. You're the variable. You're the monster, really. Right? The market is neutral. You bring the ugliness. I'm sorry to say this. I mean, I did for years as well. We bring the ugliness. Right? We should fear ourselves. We shouldn't fear the market. You shouldn't fear the 15-minute time frame. You should fear you. I mean, that's what fear is. Fear is the hidden concern that you won't do what you know you should do. That's at the base of fear. You know, there's nothing risky about getting out when you should get out, but you fear because there's some subconscious feeling there that you are not going to do it. Right? So fear is always of the self, really, in most cases. I'm not talking about, there are two types of fears, right? What I refer to is the psychological version of fear. I'm not talking about the biological version of fear. That is a protective mechanism that is a gift that all human beings have for the most part. That's that instinctual, primitive version of fear. That's a survival mechanism. That is beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. That is what causes you to jump instinctively out of the way of a moving car. So that's the good fear. But guess how many times we're called upon in life to use that fear on average? Does anybody know the number? The good fear. Let's take the lifespan of an 85 years old. That's Morteza. Wow. It takes 15 times. On average, the human being experiences 15 real fear moments in life over an 85-year period. But how many times do you experience the unnecessary form of fear? 15 times an hour. It's crazy. So at the base of everything, at the base of almost every human problem is fear. We learn this through the study of psychology. That in every fear is derived from one dominant foundational fear. The base fear that all fears are born from is the fear of what? I know somebody studied here. Give me the word. The fear of death. That's right. Every fear comes from the fear of death. Every single one. The fear of losing in the trade is a version of the fear of dying, right? It's just a different version of it. So psychologically, our mind associates a losing trade with death, right? The fear of everything stems from that foundational fear. Now, why is the fear of death the foundational fear? Because the ego is the source of fear. So you can't have fear without an ego. So the emergence of an ego is simultaneously the creation or the emergence of the psychological fear mechanism. Do you know why? Because the ego doesn't have a real existence. And its existence is constantly fearful that it will disappear, which is another way of saying that the ego is constantly in fear that it dies, and it keeps itself in a perpetual fear of death. And so to keep itself alive, it stays active every single moment for fear that if it stops acting, it will disappear, it will die. And so at the base of every fear is the central fear that the ego possesses, the fear that I will be recognized and die, the fear that I will be no more. And so it constantly chatters, constantly talks, constantly in motion, for fear that if it stops, it will disappear. Guys, this is the foundational concept of all psychology right there. I gave it to you in a nutshell. And so if there's anything that you study besides the study of money to become a good trader, is the study of human psychology, because it helps you look at yourself. Because this is a game of first becoming a different you, free of the ego, and then taking that changed or better version of you into the markets. Because the you that you are now can't do anything with the markets. This is why you have to first be replaced by a list. The list is the replacement, is the substitute while you work on yourself to not need a list. All right? Dennis, you know the answer to that. You know what I'm going to say. Guys, some of you can teach the course now. What am I going to say to Dennis? And he says, how do you stop the ego or shut it up? What am I going to say? To stop it? No. Let me see if somebody really knows. Follow the plan is true. That's right. That's what does it. Following the plan is what kills the ego. So that's correct. The other thing I will tell you is this. You have to be careful of this is what's paradoxical about this, right? You have to be careful about trying to stop the ego, because that right there is the ego. It's tricking you. I know it's weird, but that is the ego speaking right now. When it says, how do I stop the ego just flip roles. So it can't be done directly that way. It has to be done indirectly through the following of a plan. It's the plan that kills the ego. You can't kill it because you are still confusing yourself with the ego. And so that desire is coming from the ego itself. It's weird, guys. I've just delved so deeply into this that for me, it's intimately known. And I see the seeing of it is the end of it. And, some of you have gotten there and some of you are getting there, Yeah. Wild, man. Wild. It's a fascinating game, though. I mean, this is what, for me, makes trading so life-changing, because we're not talking about PE ratios here. We're talking about life. That's what makes it so special.
In business, it's never just another day. Every day is the day. It could bring your biggest order yet or a new cyber threat. Whatever the day holds, with Comcast Business, you'll be prepared. With a network that can deliver gig speeds to most businesses, Comcast Business Security Edge to help protect your connected devices, and a dedicated team available 24/7. Every day in business is a big day. We'll keep you ready for what's next. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
A message from Virginia Department of Health. Not feeling well? Your symptoms may not be allergies or a cold. They may be an early sign of COVID-19. Go to vdh.virginia.gov and search by your zip code and find a COVID-19 testing site near you.